messages to different groups of people in this country. I can't tell you how much I sympathize with the way my new responsibilities. It will no longer be possible for me.
King Charles just dropped a shocking claim about his last phone call with Princess Diana, and it's nothing like the royal fairy tales we've been told. Was it a warning, a goodbye, or something more mysterious? This long-buried conversation might finally reveal the truth behind her final hours in Paris. There's a moment in life that feels ordinary until you realize it was the last time. That's how many now view Princess Diana's final phone call with King Charles. For years, people speculated what they might have discussed during that late-night call. And now, new claims from King Charles have brought that moment back into the spotlight. According to insiders, the tone of the conversation wasn't tense or dramatic. Instead, it was unexpectedly calm. Some even suggest that Diana sounded content, perhaps more at peace than she had in a long time. She spoke of returning home soon and seeing her boys, but there's also a sense that she was wrapping something up, closing a chapter maybe. Was it simply a warm exchange between two people who had been through so much together? Or was there something unspoken beneath the surface?
The place, the people, the culture and the traditions of these areas. But also,
King Charles's alleged comments hint that the call carried a quiet weight, a significance only realized after the fact. And yet, this wasn't the only phone call Diana made that night. What she said to her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, remains one of the most emotionally charged pieces of this story, and it still brings heartbreak even today. That same night, from her hotel room in Paris, Diana called Balmoral Castle in Scotland. William and Harry, then just teenagers, were enjoying their summer holiday with their father and cousins. They weren't expecting the call. They were busy, caught up in games and laughter like any kids that age. When the phone rang, both boys answered, briefly. Neither of them could have imagined that this call would be the last time they'd hear their mother's voice. Years later, in a deeply personal documentary, Prince William opened up about the moment. He remembered being in a rush, eager to get back to playing. He admitted that the call was shorter than it should have been, and that's something he still thinks about. Prince Harry shared a similar memory. He had only recently spent a few days with his mother before she left for her trip.
left there to have to get on with it when the parents go away is always the problem. It's good for you in the end.
And when the call came, he was glad to hear her voice, but he didn't linger. He too was focused on his holiday. "If I'd known what was coming," Harry once said, "I wouldn't have been so quick to say goodbye." Those words capture a pain that time hasn't erased, the kind of regret that clings to even the happiest memories. It's the thought of what could have been said, what should have been said. And for both sons, it's a moment frozen in time. But Diana didn't stop there. She reached out to someone else, someone who had once shared her life in a very different way. And that call may have held more than just small talk. After speaking with her sons, Diana reportedly placed another call, this time to King Charles. Their relationship had been complicated, layered with history, heartache, and public attention. But insiders say this particular conversation wasn't emotional in the way you'd expect. According to royal commentator Richard Kay, who also spoke with Diana that night, she sounded upbeat and relaxed. She talked about returning to the UK and seeing her sons. It seemed like she was planning ahead, not looking back. Even more intriguing, some close to the family suggested there was a sense of resolution in her voice. What exactly was said between Diana and Charles that night remains private, but the fact that Charles has now spoken about it, allegedly confirming the call took place, has reignited interest in what might have truly been going through Diana's mind. Was she offering peace? Was it a casual check-in or something deeper? The world may never know, but the timing of that call, just hours before the world changed forever, has made it one of the most speculated moments in royal history. And yet, to understand that moment, we need to look at everything Diana had built in the months before: her independence, her causes, and her drive to live life on her own terms. After her separation from Charles, Diana didn't retreat, she reinvented. Though her royal duties had officially ended, her influence only seemed to grow. With a $21 million settlement, her own space at Kensington Palace, and the title of Princess of Wales still intact, she stepped into a new chapter. But it wasn't the wealth or title that defined her. It was her purpose. Diana made it clear. She wanted to help people. Her interviews around this time often highlighted how much she had learned from her public life, and how ready she was to use that insight for something good. She once said, "I've learned much over the last years. From now on, I'm going to be true to myself." Those words reflected her shift from royal figure to global humanitarian. She focused on causes close to her heart, visiting hospitals, meeting with patients, and continuing her work with charities. She wasn't chasing headlines, she was chasing meaning. And just when it looked like Diana was finding her stride outside the royal world, she started to gain even more attention, not just for her public work, but for the quiet moments she spent away from cameras with people she truly cared about. By the summer of 1997, Diana was living a life that finally felt like her own. She had just come out of a long relationship and was looking for peace, and perhaps something new. That's when an invitation came from a close friend, Mohammed Al-Fayed. He offered her and her sons a holiday at his villa in Saint-Tropez. For Diana, it was perfect timing. The royal family was planning a grand celebration for Camilla, and Diana had no interest in being anywhere near it. A sun-soaked getaway with her boys sounded far better. The trip was more than just a vacation. It was a chance to breathe. There were no photographers chasing them through city streets, no formalities, just relaxation, laughter, and time with her sons. A few days in, Mohammed's son, Dodi Fayed, joined them. Dodi brought an energy that surprised many. He was generous, fun, and quickly became a big part of their daily activities. He even arranged private amusement park visits for the kids and rented out spaces so they could enjoy simple pleasures away from the public. Diana was touched by the effort. Later, she described that holiday as one of the best of her life. For once, she wasn't Princess Diana. She was simply a mom on vacation, finding joy in the little things. And that joy didn't end there. The trip marked the beginning of something unexpected, something that would soon dominate headlines around the world. As summer continued, Diana's calendar remained full. But this time, she wasn't attending events as a royal. She was attending as herself. She visited Bosnia to raise awareness about landmines, a cause she had become deeply passionate about. Images of her walking through minefields in protective gear captured international attention. She also held a charity auction at Christie's, selling 79 of her iconic gowns to raise millions for important causes. The gesture symbolized more than fundraising. It was a clean break from her past. At the same time, her relationship with Dodi was growing. After returning from Bosnia, they reunited and set off for more private getaways. Dodi had reportedly picked out a ring for Diana, a gesture that sparked endless rumors. Still, behind the scenes, Diana was looking forward to returning to her boys. Friends say she missed them deeply and couldn't wait to be home. But before that return, one last stop was planned, a short trip to Paris. It was supposed to be quick, just a night, and that's when everything shifted. August 30th, 1997, Diana and Dodi arrived in Paris, planning a quiet evening. They checked into the Ritz Hotel, owned by Dodi's family. The city was buzzing, but Diana was focused on getting home soon. Earlier that day, they visited a local jeweler. Reports suggest Dodi picked up a special piece, a ring he had ordered. What followed was a series of quick decisions. They had dinner, then planned to head to Dodi's apartment for the night. Before leaving the hotel, Diana made a few calls, one to King Charles, another to her sons. The conversations seemed ordinary at the time, but now they hold a haunting significance. Their car, driven by a member of the hotel's security staff, took a route through the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. Reports later said the driver had been under pressure to avoid photographers, and the chase created a dangerous situation. While authorities confirmed the events that led up to that night, some questions remain. Why were multiple traffic cameras not functioning along that route? One newspaper even reported a photo had been captured just moments earlier, challenging official explanations. No matter how many investigations unfold, the public continues to ask, was there more to this story than we're being told? So what do you think was really said in that final call? Do you believe we've heard the full story, or are there still pieces hidden behind palace doors? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to watch the next video revealing even more untold royal secrets.